10 minutes of morning light in the eyes does more to fix sleep, energy, and mood than almost anything a person can buy. It costs nothing. It asks for no equipment, no supplement, no screen. Step outside not long after waking, let bright daylight reach the eyes for a few minutes, and a chain of events begins inside the head that the body will spend the next 16 hours running on. The reason is hidden in a number most people never measure. Brightness is counted in units called lux, and the gap between indoor and outdoor light is far larger than it looks. A well-lit room sits somewhere near 100 to 500 lux. The eyes adjust, the scene looks bright enough to read by, and the impression is that there is plenty of light. Step through the door on an ordinary morning, even under a grey, overcast sky, and the figure climbs into the thousands, and on a clear day into the tens of thousands. That is 20 to 100 times more light reaching the eye, and the difference is invisible to the person standing in it because the pupil and the brain hide it. The eye is not a camera here, it is a sensor that reports brightness to a clock buried in the brain, and that clock cannot be set from inside a room. For a long time, the retinal was thought to do one job. Rods and cones catch light and turn it into the picture the brain assembles into sight. Then, in 2002, in the journal Science, David Berson and his colleagues described a separate population of cells that had been overlooked. These are the intrinsically photosensitive retinal ganglion cells, and they do not exist to build images. They exist to measure how bright the world is. These cells carry a pigment of their own, called melanopsin, and it is tuned to the blue part of the daylight spectrum, the wavelengths that flood the sky in the morning. When that blue-rich light strikes them, they fire, and their signal travels not to the visual cortex, but along a private line to a small cluster of neurons deep in the hypothalamus, called the suprachiasmatic nucleus. That cluster is the master clock of the body, the timekeeper that every organ takes its cue from. So the eye is quietly doing two jobs at once. One set of cells reports what is in front of the body. Another set reports only one fact, again and again, all day: how much light is arriving. The morning light that sets the clock is not for vision. It is read by cells whose entire purpose is brightness, and they answer to a clock, not to sight. Here is the part that seems backwards at first. The same bright light is a tonic in the morning and a disruption at night. Nothing about the light changes. What changes is the hour at which the clock receives it, and the clock treats morning brightness and evening brightness as opposite instructions. When the master clock is struck by bright light early, it does two useful things. It shifts the whole daily rhythm a little earlier, a nudge called a phase advance, which pulls the timing of sleep and waking forward instead of letting it drift later. And it confirms that the day has begun, helping switch off the sleep signal and supporting the normal morning rise in cortisol, the brief hormonal surge that lifts a body out of grogginess and into alertness. That surge is not stress. It is the ordinary, healthy spike that a morning is supposed to contain. The downstream effect arrives many hours later. About 14 to 16 hours after that morning signal, the clock releases melatonin on schedule, and the body grows sleepy at a sensible time rather than at 2 in the morning. The morning light is what sets that evening timer running. Give the clock its signal early, and the night looks after itself. The light is the same. The hour changes everything. This is where age enters, and it enters through the eye itself. The lens that focuses light onto the retinal does not stay clear across a lifetime. With the decades, it yellows and slowly clouds, and a yellowing lens absorbs blue light first, the very wavelengths the brightness sensors depend on. At the same time, the pupil tends to grow smaller and less responsive, narrowing the opening through which light can pass at all. The result is quietly mechanical. Less light, and especially less blue light, reaches the melanopsin cells in an older eye than in a young one, even when both stand in the same morning. The clock is asked to read its most important signal through a dimmer, more yellow window, and the signal it receives is weaker. What follows from a weaker daily signal is a clock that keeps poorer time. The circadian rhythm flattens, its peaks and troughs less distinct than they once were, and sleep tends to fragment, breaking into the early hour wakings that so many people after 50 come to expect. Much of what is filed under simply getting older is, in part, a clock receiving a fainter cue. That is also the reason the morning signal matters more, not less, with age. The brighter input helps make up for the light the eye no longer lets through. The instruction is short, and the reason it works is the lux gap from the opening. Soon after waking, go outside, not to a window outside. Glass and the dimmer light of a room cut the brightness far below what the sensors need, and the eyes, adjusting, hide the loss. The clock reads photons, not the impression of brightness, so the body has to be where the photons are. Roughly 10 minutes on a clear morning is a reasonable target, and longer on an overcast one, since cloud lowers the lux even while it stays far above any indoor level. The eyes do the receiving, so no sunglasses during these minutes. Tinted lenses block the very signal being collected, though they remain fine for protecting the skin later. One rule holds without exception: look toward the open sky, never directly at the sun. The brightness of the whole sky is more than enough, and staring at the sun risks real harm to the retinal for no added benefit. The same logic runs in reverse at night. Bright and blue-rich light in the evening tells the clock the day is still on, delaying melatonin and pushing sleep later, so the evening calls for dimmer, warmer light instead. As for what changes, alertness can lift within the first mornings, and across 1 to several weeks of consistent light, the evening sleepiness tends to arrive earlier and the night to settle. None of this treats a disorder. Persistent insomnia or low mood belongs with a clinician, not a sunrise. Step back from the protocol and a simple picture remains. The body holds a master clock, and that clock does not keep perfect time on its own. Left in dim, unchanging light, it drifts a little later each day, the way any clock drifts when nothing resets it. What holds it true is an external signal, and the strongest such signal, the one biologists call the principal TSYT gay bear, the time giver, is light. Morning light is the daily act of setting that clock. The bright signal early in the day tells the timekeeper where the day begins, and from that single setting flow the timing of cortisol in the morning, the timing of melatonin at night, and the order in which 100 smaller rhythms fall into line behind them. Miss the signal, spend the morning indoors under a few hundred lux, and the clock is left to guess. Give it the signal, step into the thousands of lux waiting past the door, and it has something true to set itself by. That is the whole of it. A pigment in a handful of cells, a wire to a cluster in the hypothalamus, a number measured in lux, and 10 minutes of standing outside. The body does not keep its rhythm automatically. It keeps its rhythm in response to the light it is given.